Hello, my name is Nicole Schultz, and I will be discussing Common Sense by Thomas Paine and the Declaration of Independence by Thomas Jefferson. So, both texts argue that Americans represent a new group of people and should break away to form their own nation. However, they each have different approaches to their arguments. First, they are writing for different audiences. Paine writes for everyday Americans using clear and persuasive language to gain support for independence among the common people. And according to a journal article that I found called Thomas Paine and the Making of Common Sense by Craig Nelson, Nelson goes on to argue that, quote, Common Sense could be considered the first American self-help book, the help being for those who could never imagine life without a monarch, unquote. Paine not only argues for independence, but also encourages people to rethink their views on government and authority. In contrast, Jefferson's writing is more formal, aimed at a broader audience, including British government and the American people. Jefferson uses a formal approach to convince his readers, while Paine kind of adopted a more straightforward and easily understood style. Second, both Common Sense and the Declaration of Independence addresses tyranny, but from different perspectives. Paine views monarchy as an inherently tyrannical system, stating, quote, that the king is not to be trusted without being looked after, or in other words, that a thirst for absolute power is the natural disaster of monarchy, unquote. He argues that no leader should rule merely by virtue of being born into it, claiming, quote, that the commons, by being appointed for that purpose, are either wiser or more worthy of confidence than the crown, unquote. So, in contrast to this, Jefferson identifies tyranny in the actions of the current King of Great Britain, declaring, quote, the history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries, all in having direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states, unquote. Thus, while Paine contends that monarchy itself is tyranny and that no king should reign, Jefferson asserts that this specific king he was speaking of is a tyrant because of his actions. Lastly, their visions for the future differ. Paine played a crucial role in shaping mindsets of the average Americans and colonists. He identified their fears and frustrations and transformed them into a clear, actionable strategy for independence. And the impact was particularly significant for the founding fathers, who risked their lives by committing treason against Britain. Nelson also noted in his journal article that Common Sense isolated the fears and the angers of the average colonists and focused them into a strategy for the future. Its impact was tenfold for the men who would face charges of treason as an American founding father, unquote. Conversely, Thomas Jefferson envisioned an America that prioritized moral principles over political and economic convenience. One example from the Declaration of Independence that supports the idea of the U.S. remaining independent from foreign control and influence is, quote, he has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their actions of pretended legislation, unquote. So Jefferson opposed that foreign control, emphasizing America's right to self-government. Thank you very much.